I'm trying to do more of positive things to get stress off than things that are destructive. So going out to happy hours and eating sloppy burgers and chicken wings is something that I try to stray away from more often than going out and having a good time in outdoors.
You have changed as you've gotten more options and availability of money, time, and control, and you have gone headfirst as you do in things.
I'm broke, baby. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm broke, baby.
You've gone headfirst as you do into some things into outdoors life. You've done fly fishing lessons. I understand going out on charter boats and doing charter fishing and things, but you've gone and like bought some waders and stuff. And how many times have you been fly fishing, by the way?
Only once.
Oh, okay. So what's on that list? Number one, what attracted you? What are you getting there? What are you feeling? What are you learning? And what else is on the list?
Specifically during the pandemic, it was mentally taxing at work. And my mind was going through so much more on an hourly basis and daily basis than it had before. So I felt a larger level of stress, which led to weight gain, which led to just not generally feeling good about the psychological space that I was in. So then finding those release points, and it started with just being outside and gardening, trimming trees and bushes and stuff, then putting bird feeders up to find moments of solitude. But then also, it goes from solitude, I find this peace, but I don't want to be quiet, right? So being in a space where I could go out, I could be in serenity, but yell if I want to and not bother anybody, right? if I want to either yell just to get some old air out of my lungs, or yell as a hoorah in the middle of anywhere, I can do that in these outdoor spaces.
How do you intend to catch or kill animals if you're yelling and screaming hoorah?
There are definitely cheers and fist bumps when I shoot duck. And even though that means the next one may not come for 20 minutes, that's fine as long as I get it out then. And just exhilaration of like flying down the river in a boat at 30 in the morning and it's pitch black with a whole bunch of gear on, knowing that there's a chance that I'll bring something home.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that you work face to face. So it's not like you went remote and were working from home.
Right.
You were still doing customer facing stuff all through pandemic, working in hospitality.
Yeah. So that's the opportunity. We were considered essential. So in hospitality management, that term management was loose because there were bodies that weren't there any longer. So I had to do some of the tasks that were necessary to house guests in several hotels, not just one and not just one building. It's a complex hotel, and having to do things across all departments to make sure that the building and the business flowed to the bottom line. It brings it back to the conversation of the mental stress that I had every day. So I had no break. I didn't have the chance to work remote and, in between calls, go watch an episode of Judge Judy and relieve some of that stress. So I had to find other ways to fit it in. So now I belong to the Church of Gunpowder. Every Sunday we meet at 10 a.m. And
are you delivered?
I'm delivered. So during the pandemic, I picked up 3 shotguns, a whole bunch of gear, and then have been fly fishing, as you mentioned, have done some deep sea fishing, some hiking, and plan to do much more. It's opened up my social tiers, seeing people of different ethnicities and shooting with them, different generations. And it all flows. Once you're out there with a gun in your hand, everyone's got the same level of respect. There's no classism there because everyone can turn around and shoot your brains out if they want to. You have to have this certain level of respect at everyone's equal level with a gun in their hand. All right, so there are a lot of conversations even after and off the gun course that we have on text messages, checking in on guys, or someone didn't make it for the last 3 Sundays. Can somebody check on? Are they okay? And it's funny you relate it to our dad was in the ham radio club, and I imagine those are the same sort of things that happen. It became a second family, a second kinship.
Yeah, because you're hanging around with the same exact dudes. They're all 70. Wear plaid button-ups.
Right.
You're the youngest guy in the building.
So I'll say this, though, and you can peel this off of the podcast if you like to, but there's another layer to this whole thing. Once you get to a certain ability to have the options, you don't find many of the same people there. And, it's infamous. 50 Cent and Floyd talked about it. They said, we were friends because we could afford to do the same things, not necessarily because we were great friends. But the people of my age, of my circles, and in my industries, there's far few that I could go out and do these things with versus just go to happy hour with. And I'm trying to do more of positive things to get stress off than things that are destructive. So going out to happy hours and eating sloppy burgers and chicken wings is something that I try to stray away from more often than going out and having a good time in outdoors.
That's interesting that you say that in that way, because I find shooting to be destructive. As opposed to, you're saying
to my body, I'm saying.
Yeah, but you didn't say go out and join a yoga club or a walking club or a cycling club. Oh, I'm going to go blast some shit.
Well, if you talk about it in the sports sense, I'm shooting clay targets. So it's really not destructing anything. And those targets oftentimes are biodegradable, so they're not hurting the earth either. So I just find it as, like I said, a big stress relief and getting my mental game at a constant readiness to go back into the workforce every Monday.
And what kind of conversations had you had with your wife as you're starting to make this change and start to see the affinity grow and more time spent? What questions did she have?
I don't think it was many questions. I tried to involve her at first, and she was a great sport about coming out with me to the first few times I went out to the public course to shoot. And I think part of it was just making sure that I was safe, making sure she saw any red flags if I didn't see them or ignored them when we were there. But I think that she actually wishes that she had a similar hobby that she could really dedicate her time to. She hasn't found that yet. Currently, at the moment, it's furnishing our house that we're having logistical problems because of the ships that can't make U-turns in the middle of the ocean in those canals. So she's doing a very wonderful job of furnishing our house, trying to coordinate what pieces come in before we host Christmas this year. But all in all, outside of shooting, she's 100% participatory and a cheerleader in all the outdoor efforts and joins me a lot of times.
Okay. Last question. I know you've been waterfowl hunting with a guy that you met while you were out shooting, which is cool. So that's like you talk about meeting new types of people and building relationships. And I know that you've come home with some ducks.
Ducks, yeah.
Is it just ducks that you came home with?
Yep, just ducks so far.
Okay, and you shot those ducks. Did you also clean those ducks?
So is this in the podcast or out of the podcast?
What was it like pulling the feathers from the chest of the duck and filleting the chest? What was
it
that
looked
like?
very good on my side of the iPhone camera when the other guy was doing it for me. So much like you, which you don't want to mention on this podcast, we will both get squeamish at the sight of a lot of blood or the actual feeling of breaking a bone in something else. But here's the thing. So I did not do it last year. My hunting buddy did it for me last year. Part of it was just showing technique, right? But when we got to like the sixth duck, he was looking at me like, "You gonna do these or?" You learned, I know, because I showed you on the last 5. But I saw him again at the shooting facility, like 2 months ago, and he said, "You're cleaning your own damn ducks this year, right?"
Love it. That's fantastic.
So I said, "Yeah." So when we go back out, I'm gonna give it a shot.
How about fish? Have you been scaling and gutting your own fish?
I didn't catch any when I went fly fishing. When I went deep sea fishing, the boat hands did. So no, I did not.
Okay, so will you make it through the apocalypse, the zombie apocalypse?
Absolutely. If it's eat or not eat, then I'm making it through.
We're gonna be eating.
Do you see this?
We're gonna be eating duck burgers with feathers in them.
So, as a true outdoorsman, I have to pull one out of my pocket. I'm always ready. You gotta stay dangerous, man.
It's clean. It has never tasted the blood. I don't know how you put it back in the sheets. Very good. Good to see you.
You too, man.